I want to tell you a little bit about my story. I want to tell you what happened to me and very quickly when I was medically discharged from the Armed Forces in 2000. When I was medically discharged, I thought, no worries, the Department of Veterans Affairs will help me get back on my feet and they'll look after me. Well, that did not happen to me. So for me to be able to survive as a single mum with 2 kids, I had no other choice but to go to Centrelink. I had work. I'd been serving Rotary at tables from the time I was 10. I was working at the Speedway at 12 and I had my first job at Kmart when I was 14 years and 9 months. I worked in nightclubs and I worked in a supermarket during that time. I took a gap year and went and worked in the real world. That's what I did. So you can imagine to me what it was like, how shameful it felt and how demeaning it was for me to be able to work my whole life, to become a single mum, living with 2 kids, trying to support them on a disability support pension. During that time, our times were tough. There were times when I had to say no to my son, who was great at football and great at athletics and great at basketball and who had the advantage of being able to represent his state, and telling him on 2 occasions, I'm sorry, mate, but you can't go because I can't afford for you to go. At one stage there, he was wearing football boots that were too small for him from the winter beforehand because I couldn't afford to get him some. He had to wait. There were times when I would sit in a corner and cry because I felt so ashamed. For 2 days I didn't know how I was going to put bread and milk on the table. There was a time when my fridge broke, and for 3 weeks we lived out of an esky, and I put the esky under the house so the ice would last longer. That's what my life was like. There was 3 occasions where I couldn't afford my rego for 4 weeks one time, 6 weeks another time, and 10 weeks another time, and I drove around without a registered car. On 2 separate occasions I drove around without having a licence because I couldn't renew it. In 2006 I was going bankrupt and I would have lost my family home. I struggled for another 12 months until I went into Nick Sherry's office and begged him to help me to get my super released. Nick Sherry was very good to me, the Honourable Senator Sherry. He got that money for me within 3 weeks, but I paid dividends for that because there is no clauses in there if you are sick or injured or in dire straits that you will still get taxed because you are taking it out early. I lost a great deal of my super, but in the meantime, at least it saved my house. It gave us a little bit more breathing space. Had it have not been for the Honourable Senator Sherry, then I can assure you I would have went bankrupt. That's what my life was like for 7 years. I had to beg and borrow to fight a government bureaucracy in a court system until I won and pay that money back. But I can tell you, I was so far behind by the time that I won that case and my money was backdated. My bills had piled out. I can tell you, 7 years on disability support pension, I sure as hell did not come out in front. This is what it is like. It is not a choice for many of us to be on welfare. It is shameful and it is embarrassing. And it is bloody tough. But we do it not because we want to, but because circumstances put us there. And for you to take more money off those people, you have no idea how bloody tough it is. Every little cent counts to those people. What you are doing is shameful. And if you really realise the damage that you are continually doing to that part of society, you would stop doing it. So I'm just asking you, I know you haven't been through that, but there are some of us in here that have. And it was difficult during our lives, and our kids paid the price for that, through no fault of our own. So, I just wish you would reconsider what you're doing, because, We're not living when we're like that. We're surviving. We're in a bloody war zone and we are surviving. And that's all we're doing. Each day we're surviving. We are surviving to try and put bread on the table. We are surviving to try and make sure that our kids can get the basics in life. We are trying to make sure our kids are better, so our kids can go to decent schools if we want that choice. You know, I was really lucky in some areas, and I thank St Brendan Shaw College, who allowed me, when I got in very difficult situations for 3 years, not to pay school fees for my children, but they let them stay there. So I want you to know that's what it's like to be at the bottom of the crap pile through no fault of our own for many of us. Thank you.